Welcome to episode number 62 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast.
We're running late today.
We are running late. And Lord have mercy, we just need to start inviting people that want to be on here to come and be on here, because we can't get everybody here.
Yeah, I think we should do like random drive-bys in the morning to find people that are out running or...
We should do a lottery system. If you're interested in being on the podcast...
Ooh, charity raffle.
Charity raffle.
Charity raffle.
We need subs.
You think subs? We may need...
Not scrubs, subs.
We may need to start thinking about replacement members or something. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. My truck's starting to break down, but...
Well, go get a new one. That seems to be the thing to do.
I sure heard Bazzy Bates is working at a car dealership.
Is he?
I should give him a call.
Him or our buddy Tony?
Oh, Tony, yeah.
Tony up there.
No, I'll give Bazzy my business first.
Oh.
Where's Tony?
Of course, I heard it's the Toyota. I'm not into foreign trucks.
Tony's at El Dorado Chevrolet up in McKinney.
I'm not into foreign trucks. I'm sure the Tundra's a great truck, but the TRD, turd.
Foreign trucks? Where'd that come from?
Toyota.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Toyota.
I think he's working at
We were talking about
very
Tony.
good built car.
Yeah. It'll last. Anyhow, here we are.
Yeah, sorry about those commercials there.
It's just like last night. Everything at that stadium was sponsored.
It was.
Cook's Children.
This
First
replay, sponsored by Cook's. I feel bad for that poor
This
announcer.
injury timeout is sponsored by Cook's Children.
That was the most positive announcer I've ever heard.
Yeah, he was very positive, but good Lord, can you imagine having to say that over and over and
This
over
time
again?
out is sponsored by...
We get it. And I don't know what Cook's Children's paid for their sponsorship up there, but good
for them.
Lord, if Alan ever goes to that.
Well, they didn't pay that much because, like, the scoreboard, there's no advertising space
For Cook, yeah, well, that's true.
on the scoreboard.
They couldn't. Well, maybe that's
Well,
why
they
they
didn't
had to do
announce
it
any other
somehow.
sponsors last night at all.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, period.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
you get what you get, I guess. You get what you get.
You know
as my wife tells the kids at school, you get what you get.
We
and
were
don't
already,
put your fit.
We were already agitated about what was going on in the field. Then we had to listen to that.
Dude.
Well, and cute little stadium.
It was a nice
It was
stadium.
clean and very tight and tidy, and out on the prairie, the nice sunset.
Yeah, and again, it is what it is for, they were a 5A school. It fits their needs. The only complaint I have about it, and this is old man syndrome kicking in, is you're so stinking far away from the field.
Oh yeah.
Between an 8-lane track, and then on the visitor side, you got 3 long jump pits added onto the 8 lanes. I felt like
You're half a mile. Yeah.
Yeah, and when it's, I don't know, it doesn't, whatever.
Well, it's nice to
that's
find
my only
something
complaint.
innocuous to complain about.
The popcorn was good.
Oh, the popcorn was really good.
Besides the whistling, which worked, obviously,
Yeah.
you need a megaphone.
I
Like
think
the
so.
guy had across the field over there because
Megaphone
everybody
kid.
could hear him.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I take that back. I do have one big complaint.
What's that?
I just feel like complaining today because I got a lot of complaints.
We're getting it out of our system.
We are.
folks.
We're getting it out. So bear with us if you're watching, because we'll get to the game, because
Glad I
there's a lot to
slept last
discuss.
Yeah, we
there.
care about the game.
All right. As you said, the stadium out there, 2 sides. You got the field house, small field house on one end, and then you got nothing but open prairie on the south side of the stadium.
Yeah.
So their little band has all this area to warm up.
With their metronome.
With their metronome. They can go wherever they want. And where do they come? They come plant themselves, we're looking at the field, on our right next to the visitor stadium, 8 minutes before visitor stands, 8 minutes before halftime, and do their warm-up.
The metronome.
And I was just like...
So loud.
I did. I turned to James and David, and I said, you know what? I wish our band was here, and they could just turn to them and just blast them.
Blow them off the field.
Because how annoying... It's rude, for one. And I tried to find their band Twitter page. I was going to tweet at them. And I couldn't find it. Yeah. I found this
I think
district.
there's a lot we would have done last night if we did this podcast.
Why do you do that? Why do you annoy
exactly.
your visitors? I mean, maybe that's the reason. It's to me, it was just really rude. You've got all that space out there you can go to. You could have done it on your home side, And they didn't. They chose. That's where they come do it. I don't know if they do it to everybody. They just did it to us.
Well, and they entered the field.
Entered the field from our side, so they could play to the other side. I think that's why they.
They still could have gone to the end zone down there. And
that still doesn't explain all the people whining about recruiting. So I don't know where we're going with that, but.
So anyhow,
yeah,
Allen wins 68.
Wow, 68 to 44.
44, and that's
with a lot of offense on both sides.
I think I read right then. Well, I got the Dallas Morning News right here.
Yes, sir.
Sports DHS. There were 1,234 yards of total offense.
1,234, and they had at least 600 of that.
The stats don't lie, and the stats say
we're numbers guys.
They had 610 yards of total offense. Excuse me, while I drink this morning.
Heavy drink.
And Allen had 625 yards total offense. And we, on the way home last night, because we try to be positive.
We try.
Yep. And no matter what happens on the field, we support the kids, and we appreciate their efforts, good or bad. Appreciate the fact they're out there trying.
Mm-hmm.
James goes, here's your homework for tomorrow. He goes, I want y'all to come up with 5 positive things to say about the game. And I was like, oh, dude, that's going to be hard. But
and he said 2 had to be
for the defense. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
your list is in jeopardy.
My list is totally in jeopardy. It's like being in school. You want to please the teacher, and then you forget half of the assignment. Because I did put right now 5 positives.
Awesome.
But
what do you got?
But I didn't.
Okay. Well, let's dive right into it, kids.
We'll do that. Here's my 5 positives for the game. No turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
No turnovers by the Eagles. So no fumbles, no interceptions. And really, I think there was only one pass. Jake threw one pass in the second half that could have been picked. But other than that, I don't think anything was close. So no turnovers.
When it did, so it seemed like General was off a little bit, at least in the first half for sure.
Yep.
Overthrowing a fair amount.
Yep.
It kind of reminded me back when Nathan Dick was quarterback. He overthrew quite a bit. If he had a tendency to throw it off a little bit, it was a little bit overthrown. That gives you less opportunity in a lot of cases for interception. So I don't know what was going on there. And they were definitely jamming our receivers. They were pass interference for at least the first
into that
couple series. But
which my next number 2 was only 5 penalties. Which,
that's awesome.
If you can do 5 penalties a game in a high school game, it's pretty good. A couple of them were on the defense.
Very disciplined.
Which was good.
And the other side, they had at least 10, right?
They had...
I think they had more than that.
Yeah, I think they ended up with at least 12. Because they had... What did I say at halftime they had?
Well, they had 8, you said.
How many were personal? They had a lot of personal fouls.
They did have a lot of personal... They were chippy. They...
participating after, without a helmet. Get your helmet knocked off.
And I get that. I mean, I feel bad for the kids that get that penalty, but, it happens.
Yeah. It's for their own good.
It is. It's a safety issue.
Protection, man.
Penalties, they ended up with 12 for 97. Allen only had 5 for 45. Okay.
And that really did hurt them.
It did.
It stopped them in a couple
drives, yeah. When you're doing second and 25. Number 3 positive for me.
Yes, sir.
The offense was very efficient.
Yeah.
Meaning they scored 68 points on 58 plays.
Yeah.
So if you're averaging over a point a play in a football game, that's very efficient. So you got to give them kudos for that.
Yeah.
Number 4, the JJs were great.
Yeah.
Meaning Jordan Johnson and Jalen Jenkins. Both of them had great nights.
Jalen Jenkins he was, you said it, slippery. He was just slipping out every single time.
I mean, just the way he would not only spin, but where they reach for him, he'd duck his shoulder and go under and around. I mean, it's amazing.
And watch it. If you notice, if anybody takes an opportunity to notice and see any of the films or highlights or whatever, it seems like he is always very high and tight, tucking the ball.
Exactly. And they're both their legs. They constantly move. They're moving. They don't stop. I mean, their legs are just moving, which makes it hard for somebody to grab on when their arms are being kicked around.
Yeah, Jordan ended up with 10 carries for 159 yards. That's almost a 16-yard. But now he did have the one long run, which is great.
Yeah.
In a rushing TD. Jalen only had 53 yards, but he averaged almost 8 yards a carry, and they both had a receiving touchdown as well as both had a rushing touchdown.
And Jordan's, I don't know what happened. I think you saw it. Jordan was like, there was nobody within 15, 20 yards of him.
Yeah.
That one pass over the middle.
That was Jalen's. Yeah, Jalen's.
Okay.
When the linebacker got about 10 yards down the field, he let him go, thinking there was safety help. There was nobody back there. So he had an easy touchdown. But your backfield, stepped up, and we'll talk about the quarterbacks here. When your quarterbacks weren't exactly sharp last night, the backfield stepped up. They had 358 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. Even later in the game, Devin Turner came in, had a pretty long touchdown run on the last drive.
Nice. That was nice.
So they're pretty deep at running back. So in my last one, and I'm gonna give a shout out to these guys because we watch them pretty. And Thad doesn't get to go to the games. Thad really would be our offensive line guru.
Oh, absolutely.
He watches the Hogs. Those guys up front, obviously when you rush for 358, you're doing something right. And I think there was one sack last night, and they just dominated up front, and they're just tough. And they're mean, and they're
putting people on their backs.
A lot of pancake blocks last night, and so the O-line to me played very well. And I think part of the issue last night too was the quarterbacks had more time than they thought they did, and that's good though because you've got that 2-3 second clock in your head. Boom, boom, get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
They had more time to think about it, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Which led to some of their inefficiencies.
Yeah.
But
it's that feeling of being out of sync.
Yep.
You're rushing things a little bit, and it can just take a half a second, quarter of a second, makes a big difference.
Yeah.
On a route. Yeah.
It was something else last night. Little Elm wins the toss, take the ball, and down the field they go. Yeah,
first couple plays were kind of tough. I mean, the first play they ended up having a penalty, blocking the back. Second play they bad pass, out to the corner on the right side, and then they had that long pass play to get that big conversion, third down conversion.
Yeah, down the sideline.
Yeah, and they go 9 plays, 75 yards in 2 minutes and 4 seconds.
Yeah,
and it just seemed really kind of easy.
Yeah,
which my memory, anyways, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong here because my memory isn't what it used to be. Is that happens a lot to Allen?
Yeah,
the first drive of any team we play is usually somewhat productive.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, Boyd did last week and kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
This week it was a touchdown. It just seems like for whatever reason something isn't working initially with the defense, and they always seem to be whoever the opponent is, and however they do it, they seem to be efficient and they seem to either score or drive. So that you look at it and go, okay, we'll make adjustments. They'll make adjustments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll figure that out.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't worried because I knew, this is pretty common. This has been happening every game.
Yep.
Second quarter comes around or whatever, adjustments will be made and it'll all end.
Yep.
Well, and to their credit, the Little Elm offense, they had some really good receivers. They ran some really good routes. And for our defensive standpoint, for the most part, there were no really wide open receivers on the Little Elm side. They were there. They were close.
Oh, there was a lot of wide open ones across the middle.
There was a wide lot. I'll put it this way.
Number one was wide open
in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
there was a big vacancy many times last night.
Well, yeah, and that was that zone, defense.
And we'll get there. Hold that thought because I want to kind of.
I'm just trying to be positive.
Yeah,
and so when we went to the corners, I'd say most of those were covered pretty well. It's when they exploited the zone.
They were off of them quite a ways, but they closed fast and kept them to 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah.
So
I digress.
Allen gets the ball, goes 13 plays, and then settles for a field goal because.
We had a penalty, at least one penalty.
We had a couple penalties, and we had a QB who, like you said, was throwing high. It just didn't something was not clicking there. And
right. His run pass decider button was like sticking.
Yeah, stuck. I'm stuck here. And for the night, General was 9 of 18 for 160 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jake was 5 of 9 for 107 and 2 touchdowns. So we were actually under 50% for the night.
Yeah.
So you kind of look at that and go, that's not normal. It's not what we've seen so far this year. So something was off there, and whether it was what Little Elm was doing, or whether the receivers weren't just getting open, or several times the passes were overthrown. We saw the passing game wasn't carrying the team last night. And as we get a little further in the game here, we'll discuss some things. But Little Elm gets the ball back, runs 9 plays, ends up turning it over. Allen gets the ball. Oh, they didn't turn it over. They went to punt.
Right.
And the snap went over the punter's
head.
Way over his head. And that punter is like 6'5". It's one of their receivers.
Yeah.
And he went over his head, and he just fell on it. And
well, he was having a hard time falling on it.
Yeah.
It was like he wanted to pick it up, but he didn't.
Yeah, Allen gets the ball, goes 27 yards, scores, makes it 10-7. You're like, okay, here we go. Right. Defense figured it out. They stopped him. Little Elm gets the ball. They go on a 21-play drive.
That was
21 plays. Score a touchdown, take the lead at 14-10. And this is when, in my mind, things started wondering, we need to do something here to help our defense.
Yeah.
Because the defense is starting to show some issues. You've given up 2 9-play drives, and of course the second one didn't result in any points, and a 21-play drive. And all of a sudden you're looking at, okay, 1, they're holding the ball. Your offense isn't on the field as much.
Right.
And 2, even with a rotation like we use, they're running a whole lot of plays.
That's right.
And I don't care who you are. At the end, I did the numbers last night. They ran 92 offensive plays.
Wow, to our 58?
To our 58. And so you look at that and go, okay, let's see what we can do offensively to keep to me is just to give your defense some rest.
Exactly.
And you go, what can happen there?
We were a little too efficient.
So they score. It's the end of the first quarter. We get the ball back, and you're thinking, okay, they're up now. Now we need our defense to rest a little bit. And Jordan Johnson rips off, I don't know whether it was 65, 70-yard touchdown run, and you're like, well, that didn't help.
Yeah. Yeah.
It got you the lead back, but your defense is right back out on the field. And so you're going, okay, well, maybe that's a spark they need to do. And maybe the coaches over there making adjustments that will help what we've seen so far. Because I wanted to tell you this stat because it was in the summary. The paper doesn't have these in the thing until Sunday now. The quarterback for Little Elm, he threw for 267 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Yeah.
267 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw that happen against Allen?
That's pretty staggering. Yeah.
Probably Flower Mound. I forgot what year it was when they were doing a lot of that pitch in the backfield, and a little shuffle off to the right or the left, and the guy was running for yards and yards and yards. I believe that was it.
That number staggered me. The other thing about the first quarter was it was chippy as all get out.
Yes.
There were a lot of penalties, and it lasted 46 minutes. I looked down at it was still 2 minutes left in the first quarter. I looked down and I was like, oh my gosh, we've already been 40 minutes into this quarter.
When at least a third of that was referee conference.
That's a whole other topic, too.
Yeah, forgive me if I get into that prematurely.
For the simplest penalties, they had to call everybody together to talk about it.
I have never seen a crew have such a hard time. And what gets me was there's a call on this side of the field, and then you have a conference with all 5 officials. Well, shouldn't it just be the official who called it and the referee?
Yeah.
Now, if it's down the field in between 2 people or something, but I don't get it. It just went on and on and on, and then you got to explain it to the coaches, and every single call
And maybe it was just their care and due diligence to get it right. Now, the crew, for the most part, they were letting some stuff go, especially early, it seemed like, or they were missing stuff. Obviously, we're going to see it, when the other team, does a violation that we see. But
they had a lot more false starts than they got called on.
Yeah. Yeah, kids taking off. They called a couple of them.
That receiver was blatant.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Turned upfield way before.
Well, no, it's this.
Or the ones,
our defensive back turned and started running back, and then the receiver took off.
Because he backed off.
And the ref was standing right there in front of him.
The line judge was standing right there and didn't
call it.
So they had their own issues last night, but the whole conference thing, I was just like, geez, fellas, if you're confident in your call, it shouldn't take a Supreme Court ruling to get an answer here.
That's right.
But it was a 46-minute first quarter, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So to me, there wasn't a whole lot of flow to the game, at least in the first quarter. It just wasn't there. The offense, seemed pretty efficient. You score 10 points, which great, but the defense has given up 257 yards passing.
Yeah.
In the first quarter, and you're like, oh my gosh. So, Little Elm gets the ball back, and they have an 11-play drive, and they end up having to punt. Allen gets the ball. They go 9 plays, 90 yards, score a touchdown. They're up 24-14. And you go, okay, there's that separation that you were looking for.
We need a defensive stop.
You're going to get the ball to start the third quarter.
Yep.
You're now 2 scores ahead. Okay, defense is doing fine, 21-14. Then Little Elm gets the ball back. They go 8 plays, 75 yards. They score a touchdown. And you look up and it's 24-21. You're like, ugh. You're like, okay.
Don't like 3-point games.
And I'm going to say this because I'm not a football coach, and I never will be. And none of us are and never will be. But it was strange to me with a minute 49 left is when Allen got the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
A minute 49.
Changed quarterback.
They changed quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, I know it was probably scripted. Who knows? I'm just guessing. It may have not been. Yeah. It just seemed a strange time when you've only got a minute 49 to throw a guy who hadn't been out there yet in there.
Yeah.
Now,
it worked
out.
It worked.
Well, he's not a normal guy. I mean,
Jake's very good.
He's very, very good.
He's good.
He's very good. He makes smart decisions. He throws a very good ball, and he had a couple problems on first and second down. He had a long pass to Blaine on third down that bailed him out.
Right.
And they ended up scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to use a timeout.
With 33 seconds left.
So they're up 31-21. You're like, great. And so, and this is when it got really weird to me because Little Elm had been fair catching the kickoff all night long.
Yeah.
So
on the 5, 10, 15-yard line.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's 30-something seconds left, and we kick off, and the guy catches it and doesn't call fair catch.
Catches it on the goal line.
Yeah.
And gets tackled at the half-yard line.
Yeah, he runs across the field. Thought he got tackled in the end zone for a safety, but it didn't matter.
It was close, but I was like, all right, this whole thing from minute 49 to now has really just gotten weird to me. He's tackled, and you're like, okay, you got 3 timeouts in there on the half-yard line. So what do? They do 2 quarterback sneaks and a run and get about 2 yards, and Allen wisely uses his timeout. So you're like, okay, they got a punt from their 2-yard line.
Yeah. We're going to have it in close to field goal range. Yeah.
You got an opportunity for a field goal, and by golly, if it wasn't jailbreak out the wazoo, I don't know. What was the guy kept saying last night? A convocation of eagles descended upon the punter. The punt is blocked and rolls out of the back of the end zone. You get a safety, and now you're up 33-21.
Yeah.
Well, okay, all that seemed to work out in the last minute 49, but it was a weird sequence. It's just like, wow. Strange things are happening.
Expected Rod Serling to come on the announcement.
I mean, they fair caught the ball all night long, and what all of a sudden, maybe they thought, oh, we'll trick them. They think we're going to fair catch. And
Well, that was a good thing. Our kicking last night, kickoffs and everything, was basically perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whose decision it is to decide whether it's going to be pooched or kicked long. Yeah. But they did an excellent job on it. When they wanted to kick it out of the end zone, they kicked it out of the end zone.
Yeah.
When they wanted to pooch it, I mean, it was just perfect. It was great. I like what they do. It throws the the team off. They don't know if they're going to onside kick it or they could onside kick it or whatever. So
And you didn't have any that were kicked out of bounds. Little
No.
Elm had at least 2 that were kicked out of bounds.
directly out of bounds.
Yeah. And, so that's not an advantage at all. But, I am liking our special teams kickers.
They did a great job.
Makes sense. So we're up 33-21 at halftime. You're getting the ball to start third quarter. You're like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
Get the ball, score. And what did they do? They got the ball and they scored. So they go up 40-21. Little Elm gets the ball back. Guess what they do?
They drive.
They
down
drive.
and score.
Another 7-play drive. 94 yards, they score 40-28. You're like, you just can't shake these guys. Allen gets the ball back, 6 plays, 88 yards. They score. It's 47-28. You're like, okay, you're back up to a 19-point lead. Guess what? Little Elm gets the ball. They go 14 plays. Here we go. All these long drives here.
And this is where they went for 2.
They did go for 2, and so they score. They make it 47-36. It's down to an 11-point game. You're like, all right, guys, back to the offense. Offense gets the ball. They score. It's 54-36. You're like, finally.
Are we done?
Are we done?
Nada.
And here's where I thought it was a little strange. And again, we all have our own opinion how things should go, but you're continually seeing these long drives by Little Elm. And a lot of it, their running game wasn't that strong last night. Their running game consisted of their quarterback scrambling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He had a ton of yards on quarterback scrambles.
Or that jet sweep.
But that's a pass. That's a pass. That's not a run in the stats.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Shuttle pass, yeah.
But their true running game, rushing yards counted.
Yeah.
He had 98 yards, and there
113
weren't
total
that
yards.
many
113, yeah.
called runs for him.
No.
He was running for his
Scramble,
life,
right.
and we'd blitz, and the blitzer would run right by him or be
Well,
out of
yeah,
position to make the tackle.
it's something that we saw in a bunch of other games, and it's where they're aggressively coming in, and either that or blitzing on one side, and the offensive line, their offensive line, does a great job of blocking our defense out, and so he scrambles.
Yeah.
He scrambles, and he gets 5, 10, 15 yards.
Yeah. And so he had a lot of yards that way.
Yeah.
But you just look at it and go, okay, your defense needs a break. They're having to again. Little Elm's not hitting one play 70-yard strikes.
Yeah,
they're rolling it down the field on long drives. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 play drives, 21 play drives.
Yeah,
you're like give your defense a break, guys. And how you do that is you run the ball.
Yeah,
everything doesn't need to be a pass, and we just could not seem to get out of that. And from what I could see, they, first down, throw the ball. You're like, all right, here's 2 things. 1, if it's incomplete, it stops the clock.
Yeah.
So you're not helping the game move along.
Yeah.
And 2, you're not gaining anything if it's not a completed pass. And the quarterbacks, like I say, were off last night. And you look at the stats and you go, well, heck, Allen ran, the ball, what was it, 31 times.
Yeah, 358 yards.
But you
it was
passed it
a ton of
27
rushing yards.
times.
Yeah.
So you're like, when your defense is struggling and you need time to run off the clock and you need to give them a break, you run the ball.
Yeah.
To give them a rest. And I didn't see that consistently enough for my liking in what was.
Yeah, especially when you're running at will.
Yeah.
Just.
Again, you averaged. I didn't. The number was here. You averaged
double digits for
9
sure.
point. No, I'm sorry.
Close.
Yeah, 11.5 yards a carry last night. So, if you're popping it off, even if you're popping off 5 yards a carry, you're getting your first downs and you're taking time off the clock and you're allowing your defense to sit over there and catch a breather because they're working hard
and wearing their defense down.
Yeah,
and with as hard as they had to work, they kept it up. I didn't really see that they were getting that tired. It's either late breaking on the ball or just kind of out of position. I'm not sure what the real key to that whole thing was, but if you're going to have a really bad game, maybe Little Elm's the good one to have it against. You don't want to do that against a Geyer or Prosper,
which is next week.
Yeah,
so.
Really.
Yeah. Is it Geyer or Prosper next week?
Geyer.
Okay.
So at the end of the third quarter, it's 54-36. Allen scores about halfway through the fourth to make it 61-36. Little Elm scores with 2 minutes 49 seconds left to make it 61-44. They go for two and get it, and then Allen does the three-pace 75-yard drive where Turner scores on that long touchdown run. You're just like, so it's 68-44, and then Little Elm gave up at that point. They put their backup quarterback in and just ran the ball game out. You win 68-44. You give up 610 yards. You're glad you walk out with a win. Mm-hmm. And you review tape today, and you get ready for next week, which is it'll be the game that probably decides the district championship.
Yeah. Well, I was worried about last night, and I think we had more or just under the same amount of fans that they had across the stadium. But it was the first time this year, first time since Round Rock, that we hadn't had our band, hadn't had a lot of fans.
It's true.
Wasn't a familiar place where there was a lot of noise, maybe could have played into the weird factor a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it did for me. I mean, it was really strange. There's no fight song. There's weird. No, they did play the fight song when they were coming out over the speaker, but it was just strange. It was a different environment,
Yeah.
Maybe this next week, obviously, and I hope so, will be a whole totally different story with the crowd noise and the band playing constantly,
Yeah, the comforts of home should help.
Yeah.
Should help, and just the knowledge that you're playing. Sometimes you play with your food, depending on what your food's like. You play down instead of playing up. And
that's true.
You better play up this week, and we'll see what happens with them. But Geyer does come to town. Geyer won 49-7 last night over Braswell.
It took a long time to get to that, though.
Yeah,
it was really tight, 14-0 at halftime.
Geyer has already beaten Prosper. Missed extra point cost Prosper in that game for at least a chance at overtime,
and Prosper beat McKinney last night 27-17.
Yeah.
So
Prosper, Prosper's still out there, but this is you got to focus on this week. And
that's right.
Eli Stowers is their quarterback. He's an A&M commit.
Yep.
They've got several defensive guys that are going D1 as well, so it'll be a good challenge. Plus, they've got Rodney Webb. The Rockwall coach moved over there this year, and he's taking all that offense.
Is he our kryptonite?
We'll see.
Yeah.
You said kryptonite.
Mark's all choked up.
Swallowed a little.
He's going all Superman on us. Yeah. Well, I hope
a fur ball.
I did. Sorry, guys. Wow.
Well, I hope Corey and the defense have a good week, and that they've got some good schemes against that. But we'll
look
see.
at this, and again, this I was telling David earlier before we started. I have flashbacks to 2014 last night.
Yeah.
When you had a really good offense, obviously led by Kyler and those guys, but your defense was a whole lot of new guys.
Yeah.
And you had to outscore a lot of teams, especially when you got to the playoffs. If you remember, you had the Trinity game, you had the Geyer game.
The Geyer game, yeah.
And you were scoring in the 50s and 60s to win. You needed that much. And it was...
We'd much rather not be in that situation.
But it is what it is, and hopefully last night was an aberration. But then I told David, I said, well, you look at the Boyd stats from the week before, you gave up 498 yards. Yeah. And again, what matters is points, but it's it's a little bit disconcerting when you're giving up all those yards.
Yeah.
And your offense is having to really be really efficient in order to make sure that you can win these games. And when you play an opponent like Geyer, heck, maybe it'll be the 27-24 game. Who knows?
Yeah.
Something might be a little bit different. But it was a weird night in Little Elm. Weird night.
It was.
So, Geyer next week, they're 2-0 in district. You have Geyer, and then you go to McKinney, is that right?
I believe so.
And then Prosper at home, and then Braswell away to finish out the season. So a win next week for the Eagles will go a long way in securing a district championship.
And that's the goal right now.
It is.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Don't get the Rona. And
the Rona. Yeah, please stay healthy.
Yeah, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was a little bit, hold your breath pins and needles to waiting for the possible announcement. I don't want to hear it.
Every week it's like that.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
You got to,
You look around, and I think
got to acknowledge.
Well, like this week in college football, I saw the stat this morning. Last night late, there were 59 games scheduled. 10 of them been canceled.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious on the high school because there were 50 some odd games in previous weeks on the high school level in Texas that had been canceled.
Yeah, and you'd hate to lose a district game because of the virus, but ouch, that's I guess it's going to be
a real possibility.
Yeah, the
Health
question
and
is
safety
it a
comes
forfeit
first.
or is it it's just
Or is it a reschedule?
They try and reschedule it and they can't, then it's forfeit.
Yeah, and I don't think they can because you don't have any 3 weeks.
No,
unless
you
you can't play double in a week.
No.
So it'd be strange to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's that situation. Friends and family are getting it, and we just got to be careful.
Everybody needs to be careful.
Yes.
We say that all the time to you guys. Be safe out there and take care of yourself and take care of those around you. And this stuff isn't going away. And in Texas, it's gotten. I think we just had our millionth case yesterday.
Yeah.
You just have to be smart. I mean, you have to wear your mask everywhere you go, and you have to sanitize and wash your hands, and just be careful what you're doing, because I've been working since day one of this thing.
Yeah.
In and out, in stores, out of stores, driving around, seeing people, talking to people all the time, and I haven't gotten anything.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of just being smart in what you're doing.
You can be. Yeah, you need to be smart, and that's the key. And we all say it. We all hate wearing masks. If anybody loves wearing a mask, I haven't met that person yet.
It's terrible.
And it's
especially with glasses, it fogs.
Yeah, it's awful for those of us with glasses, and it's just brutal. But you got to do it. I mean, that's the world we live in at the moment, and it's you want to be safe, and you want those around you to be safe, and that's my big fear. It was me getting somebody else sick. I'd hate that for myself, to know that I contracted something that I gave somebody else because I didn't do things the right way or whatever. So, anyhow, I had another topic. Oh, bond package.
Brain fart. Yeah. Election results.
Election results are in.
We'll talk about bond packages.
Yeah, we'll start there. A and D passed. B and C, which were the athletic bond packages, I'll just call them that.
Field, new turf on the field, and they went down.
No new turf at the stadium, no track, and no new turf for Ford, which to me is the saddest part of that whole thing, because you've got inequality in the district between Erickson, Ford, and Curtis. And that's. It's not fair for the kids.
But now there's a push to do private fundraising.
There is. I've seen some people out there, especially, I guess, the day after the election, there was a push to do through the the Foundation for Allen Schools, push to do private donations in order, especially to do the $500,000.
Yeah, the corporate private donations.
To do the tennis court renovations, and I think there was something else in there too. But
for our district championship tennis team, we should do that.
And they need to be renovated, and they're public use too. And so they said, if 500 people give $100,
maybe we need to sponsor a tennis tournament.
Could you imagine?
Either do that or just cut out the public use of them, and have it for the school.
I'm not sure you can. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on there, but. The whole thing
chains
is
and locks.
It needs
we
to
don't
be
get
done.
to use the library at
chains
school, do we?
and locks.
Yeah. Chains and
but
locks.
that didn't seem so
Razor
far out of
wire.
reach to me, because I think there were at least 14,000 people that voted for that.
Yeah,
and it just got defeated, and so David being one of them, if you find those 14,000 people, say, hey, let's do a donation.
Do we need to talk to the legislature about having a moratorium that people that move here can't vote for at least 2 or 3 years?
That might be true too.
Yeah,
but you feel bad for the things that can't get done in the district, and they'll try again in 2 years or whatever to see if they can get it passed then. And I don't know what the final tally was on Prop A, but that was the one to do the school renovations and everything. And last I saw, it was 20 or 14 votes. Somebody told me last night it passed by 21 votes.
Recanvassing.
So it was it was close, and I'm glad those things are going to get done. And, the district needs to keep its facilities upgraded. And, there's an argument to be made on either side of whether it's needed, this, that, and the other. But, it's just like your house. You got to take care of it.
Well, David said it last week. It's a pride, and you want the best of everything.
You want your kids and you want your community to have the best of everything. It's a matter of keeping it nice, the way it needs to be. And, hey, just drive south.
Yeah.
Down into Dallas.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have anything, and look what it's done for them.
Yeah.
Their schools are
certainly not attracting people.
Schools are in bad shape.
For that. Yeah.
Athletic facilities are in bad shape.
Well, you're talking about the largest district in the state too, but
but they constantly vote no.
Yeah.
Constantly, and that's why they're in the mess that they're in.
Yeah. You ain't got the money, you can't spend it. So, that was kind of the results there. Congratulations to Polly Montgomery.
Yep.
Being voted
new board member.
Louise Master. Yeah, we'll give Louise a shout out. Louise has been a friend of ours for years, and she's always been a
great lady.
And a good resource for us when we have questions. And she's helped us with a lot of different things that we've done. And she's stepping down, I think, after 13 years on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to her for her public service and everything that she's done, as board president and as a trustee. She's taking a break, and good for her. And
we need people to care like that.
Yeah. And so
give your time.
She's stepping out, and, Polly's taking her spot, and that's awesome. That's a good, Polly's husband, John, was on the board for several years. And so there's a knowledge there. And Polly herself was an educator. So there's a lot to be gained by her stepping into that role. So we look forward to everything she does for the district going forward. Beyond that, I don't know much else. We don't want to get into
it's a tweener week, and
it's been a tough week for everybody on the political side, and it'll make your head hurt. It really does. And no matter which side of the aisle you're on, hang in there. I got up Wednesday morning and went to work and did my job, came home, and the world's still functioning as it always does.
It's still here.
I think
it'll be here tomorrow.
Got to focus on supporting the country and just be a proud American.
There you go.
Do your job. Looting. Do your job.
Yeah. Whatever your job is, do it. Do it well.
Yeah. And if you don't have a job,
get a job.
God bless you. Well, God bless you. There's 20 million people out of work, but we've gone through hard times before that are not, COVID related, and this is just one of those critical times when people have to adjust. They're in a position where they have to figure out either you change, you adjust, you keep scratching and pulling, and there are people out there that you don't know that are pulling for you.
Yep.
And if you need help, ask. If you're depressed, there's a lot of suicide out there. Please ask. Talk to somebody. Don't stop. Because people care. They really do.
And again, like you said, you may not know who does and who doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
So give people a holler. So with that being said, episode 62, we didn't even come up with the number 62.
No, we didn't.
And
maybe we're beyond that. With it, that's the no man's land. We decided to discuss that. That's the no man's land
it's
of
our
kind of
podcast.
Numbers.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So there.
And was there a final score?
On?
Yes.
Oh, somebody asked the question. Who? Nolan?
I just told him yes.
Oh. Unbelievable.
He doesn't know how to Google that and look that up.
No, it's above his pay grade. Hey, a shout out.
You know what? It's not on his new truck, is it?
Steve DeWitt, thanks for hanging with us last night, brother.
You have the patience of Job, my friend.
You had to climb those stairs, I think twice, because I think you went down to the restroom or the concession stand once.
Tiny bladder. Yeah.
All the way up to the top. It was quite a haul.
Tiny bladder.
And you said something last night that cracked me. He goes, "This is the content you can't get anywhere else." And I forgot what a treasure trove it was. Because there wasn't anybody within 15 feet of us, and Steve came up and sat with us. And
we enjoyed the company. I think your experience working with special needs children
prepared
has helped you in dealing with us. So
wow,
thank you
that's
so much.
just so wrong.
So wrong, but
like I said, he's got the patience.
Everybody would agree
He's got
too.
the skills.
Yeah, so wrong, but probably so right.
We were such children. It's
So,
not funny.
Steve, thank you, and appreciated your insight.
Yep. And Scotty, good seeing you.
The banner that we had back and forth, that was fun. So
Wow.
anyhow, guys, next week, Guyer, 7:00 Friday night, big game in the district. Make sure you're there. There'll be plenty of tickets available.
Come by and see us.
Yeah, come by and see us. We'll be
See our new
tailgating.
tent.
Yeah, the new
Tailgate.
canopy. Thank you, Randy.
It's real
Bridges.
pretty.
Randy Bridges did a great job.
Yeah, and thank you, Mark, for financing the new tent.
Yeah,
It doesn't leak yet,
It does not leak, and that's important.
and we don't want to find out if it doesn't leak.
Yeah, we can do without the rain. So anyhow, folks, have a good Saturday, and until next week, it's over and we're out.